This is how you light a fire with truth instead of false narratives. Now, the hard part is actually getting closed-minded folks to pay attention.
I have a physical therapist. We don't usually talk about politics, but I know she's left-wing. But for some reason, the last session, we started talking about politics. And she said, conservatives, they're so selfish. They only care about themselves. They only care about money. That's why I am a liberal. Now, when your physical therapist is administering pain to you, you're kind of reluctant to tick her off. But at some point, I couldn't take it. I said, what is your basis for saying that? She said, well, they're just selfish.
Why?
I said, this has been studied. There's a book called Who Really Cares by a guy named Arthur C. Brooks. And Arthur C. Brooks was not a conservative. He was a public policy professor at Syracuse University. He wanted to do a paper on something people haven't done before, and he was shocked to find out nobody had ever done an extensive study on whether or not liberals or conservatives were more generous with their time, with their money. And he was shocked to find out that conservatives, by far, give more money, give more time than do liberals. And my therapist said, well, that's because conservatives have more money. And I said, actually, the average conservative household is 6% less wealthy than the average liberal household. You're just wrong. And she was shocked. And I said, years ago, I was getting my hair cut. I get my hair cut at a barber shop / beauty parlor. And a lady next to me was going on and on and on about how selfish Republicans and conservatives were. She didn't know who I was. Otherwise, I would imagine she would have been a little more cautious. I started not to intervene. I was just there to get my hair cut. I work for a living, and sometimes I want to take the day off, but I couldn't take it. And I turned to her and I said, excuse me, do you have any idea who gives more money and gives more time to charity, Republicans versus Democrats, liberals versus conservatives? She said, oh, Democrats give more time. Democrats give more charity. Liberals give more time. Liberals give more charity. I said, actually, it's been studied. There's a book called Who Really Cares by a man named Arthur Brooks. And he was shocked because he thought the same thing you thought. He grew up in a non-political household. He wasn't liberal. He wasn't conservative. He was just kind of in the middle. But he just knew intuitively that Democrats were more generous with their time, with their money. He was shocked to find out it was the opposite. And in many instances, it isn't even close. And there are a couple of reasons. The first reason is that conservatives are more religious than liberals. And religious people give a lot more of their time and a lot more of their money to charity. The other thing is this. Most conservatives believe that government ought not be involved in welfare, and they talk the talk and walk the walk by donating money that they feel government shouldn't be doing because they feel that individuals and nonprofits should be doing it. And after I told her all of that, she said, oh, that's because Republicans have more money. Same as you just now said. And I said, actually, that's also been studied. The average liberal household has about 6% more money than the average conservative household. She was shocked. And by the way, for optics, happened to be a white female. In walks a black female. I said, excuse me, this young lady and I are having a conversation about who's more generous with their time and with their money, liberals or conservatives. What's your opinion? She said, oh, liberals are. By far. They're more generous. They're more caring. I said, actually, it's been studied. There's a book called Who Really Cares, and I went down the whole litany with her as I did with the other young lady, and she said, oh, that's because conservatives have more money. I said, actually, that's been studied too. They have less money. They're just more generous. She too was shocked. Here's a report on the book, Who Really Cares? And I'm quoting, religious people are givers. Religious observance is a key predictor of generosity. People who attend church weekly are 25 percentage points more likely to give money and 23 points more likely to volunteer than people who rarely attend. They give 350% more money and volunteer 200% more time, despite not having higher household incomes. Notably, this giving was not just to religious charities and causes. Their support of entirely secular charities and voluntary associations is also comparably higher. End of quote. My therapist then said, well, the reason I'm a liberal is because of health care. I just think health care is important, don't you? I said, of course it's important. And I said, the best way to ensure better health care, better quality, better accessibility is through competition. And she said, yeah, but what about people who are really poor? And I said, what about donations? What about charity? That's what people are for. I said there's a book called The Tragedy of American Compassion, written by a guy named Marvin Olasky, and he looked at the Great Depression when FDR rolled out the New Deal. And he found out that people that were eligible for charity but didn't take it either because of pride or because they were able to figure out getting money from their friends or family or somehow figured it out, versus those that took charity, over the long haul, the ones that avoided government charity were better off. It turned out government charity created dependence. This gentleman looked at both those books, Who Really Cares and The Tragedy of American Compassion.
Wow. Very interesting. Imagine that. People that want free stuff aren't the most giving. Ain't that something? These people constantly make these blanket assertions, but when they're asked to break down their logic, they don't have any. They can't actually lay out their foundation, lay out their ways of thinking. They can't explain anything or any ounce of evidence to back up the huge silliness that has been spouted out of their hole. Liberals, Democrats, they give more. They give more time. They care about people more. Where's the facts? Larry Elder just gave it to you. Every time I see this man, it's straight stats and facts. He always comes correct. The common sense is next level. And I love this man. God bless him and his family and anybody else that has this way of thinking. Thank you for shining a light and putting this out in the public for people to see and see what's really going on in our country, man. It needs to be done. And that's why I use my platform, because I wasn't always this way. I haven't been a conservative, God-fearing man for very long. 2019 is where I made that pivot, when it started to just all make sense. When I found my lovely wife, when I started to change my ways, again, I'm only 27 right now, so I'm still learning, I'm still growing. But when I started leaning conservative and waking up, I had a purpose, man. I had a purpose when I found God, more importantly, and I wasn't a victim. I could pave the way for my family and anybody that looks up to me along this one life that we get. Now, looking right, looking left, that should never be the priority. Looking up at the one true King on the throne, where eternal peace and salvation is found through Jesus Christ, that's where you should be focused. But when you start waking up from those liberal ways of thinking and you want to actually go out and work hard for the things that you say you want, and whatever you are blessed with, the things that you can be content with, no matter what the situation that you're given, whatever cards that you're dealt that God gave you, he gave you free will. So you can take care of those around you, whether you make 20,000, 40,000, 300,000, 300 million. It doesn't matter. You can take care of those around you. You can give back to charity. You don't have to rely on the government giving you these false senses of reality, this false sense of you've earned your way just because you're here. You don't deserve anything. You deserve what you have right now. You're an outcome of all the decisions that you've made up to this point. Go out and do something about it. Go out and look around, and then you can become one of those people that helps lift up their fellow brother and sister. That's what this world needs more of. People need to stop being lost in this way of thinking, to where like you could just lay in bed all day. The government's going to take care of you, your health care, your needs, your financial freedoms, or whatever things that you deem. They're going to buy you all these fancy flat screen TVs, new phones. You're just going to sit and scroll on TikTok and Instagram all day and think that you're going to improve and evolve in life. It don't work that way. Life is hard. Each day is going to have enough troubles of its own. So you better get up and go get it. With that said, I have to dish out some biblical soul food for all of us to meditate on, or I wouldn't be doing my service as a child of God. So Titus 2 verses 11 and 12 says, "For the grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation for all people, training us to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions, and to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age." So all this sin, all this pornography, all this valuing of worldly possessions, materialistic things, and false mentalities, if you're not lining up with God and salvation and valuing people and life as a whole, it's all for nothing. You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your time. It's really that simple. And then Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart." Y'all know this. Let's say it again. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths." So if it's not going the way you want, and you're not fearing God, you're not loving Jesus and being a Bible thumping American, or wherever you're at in the world, why do you think it's going that way? God's not going to make your path straight if you keep leaning on this hell-bound, crooked, evil, demonic way of thinking. If you just think you're your own God, truth is relative, you could change genders, change this, do that, and everybody owes you something, it don't work that way. There's a reason that you're not having the things that you want, having the peace of mind that you want. You're not fearing God. You're not loving the Creator, the Almighty, and looking towards Jesus Christ and acknowledging what he did on the cross when he beat death. He beat sin. He beat all of that so he can give you a chance, so he can give us a chance to have that salvation, to have that peace of mind. All of the things in the world, they're temporary. They're falling by the wayside. Moth and rust destroy them. Jesus is eternal. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Nothing, no darkness can ever outshine the light that is Jesus Christ. So if you're not in a place where you want to be, I'm telling you, it's time to start looking up. It's time to start leaning towards life, leaning on Jesus, leaning on God Almighty and the word of scripture, the Bible, basic instructions before leaving earth. And I'm telling you, your life will never be the same in all the best ways. I'm telling you from experience. So I love y'all. If you like these sort of videos, you like what I'm doing over here, you appreciate Larry Elder's content, or you got some value from my rant or whatever it is, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, notification bell, ring that thing, just so you stay up to date anytime I post a video. If you want to support my channel, you can get awesome shirts like this Camo Jesus one and a bunch of other different Christian, American, awesome designs made by my lovely wife on her Etsy store. That's always linked in the description section and usually the pinned comment as well. I love y'all. I'm praying for you. Until next time, Godspeed. I'm gone.